4 years ago, I used Minecraft to recreate my parents' house in Minecraft where I lived at the time. A year later, I did the same thing but with my own house, recreating it in Minecraft. Now, in that very same house, I'm going to use Minecraft to design my garden, or at least redesign my garden. You see, when I moved in a few years ago, it looked like this. A grassless, weird terrace. We quickly put some grass in, and it became usable, but it still wasn't what I wanted for a garden. You can see that the cats liked it, but the layout was a bit strange in places and there was unnecessary steps, and Pearl took offense to the towel. I thought I'd just include that. These photos and videos were taken in about 2018, but it was time to plan something better. And I thought I would use Minecraft to do it. All I need to do now is find my old build that I made of this house that I live in now and add in the garden. 2 years later, it's still here in my Minecraft world, and this is the exact one that I made. However, I have added my garden as it is in the back here. So, as you can see, there's a garage. My garden is full of garages. It's a bit of a pain. Not as much as this here. I have a terrace that runs through my house. So this is currently what my garden looks like. So, one of the weirdest things about my garden is that when you come in, there's this weird step thing going on over here. And that's gotta go. And not only that, you've got all this tiles over here. You've also got this terrace here. It's not a really functionable space. So let's begin. First of all, we need to think about the shape. Now, in real life, this terrace is like bang in the middle. So one thing I want to do is actually push this back. And while we're here, I also want to get rid of this. Like, there's no point of having this here at all. This is just wasted space. So let's start by taking a big chunk of land and let's just get rid of it. Okay, so we can definitely get rid of this thing here. This stair is not needed. We can get rid of it. Now, over here, I've thought about this long and hard, I would like a conversation area. Now, that basically means a bunch of seating. And I think the style of this, I've got to go modern. We live in 2020, or in excess of 2020 if you're watching this from the future. So, I want to actually change the blocks here. So, at first I thought this diorite would work, but diorite's so ugly. In fact, what I'm going to use is a custom block made for me that is pretty much the shade that I was going for. In fact, there we go. There's actually a version here with tiles on them. That works. So you'll get a bit more idea. Now, I don't actually want squares. I actually want large rectangles. But this Minecraft replica will definitely not be exact. It will not look identical. So let's extend that all the way. In fact, I can get rid of all of this. There we go. So that will all be paved around here, and indeed here as well. It will probably slope down at some point because the levels in my garden are a bit odd. And then, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait a really long time until this garden is completely finished, and then we'll compare the two. I want to have somewhere to plant some stuff. So I want a layer of dirt because at the moment this is pretty heavy on the concrete. So what we're going to do, or the porcelain, or whatever material it's made out of. So let's create a line here, something like this. This would likely be a slightly darker color, but just try and use your imagination for now. And then what we'll do is we'll have a quick rim here. I wanted this because when you're mowing your grass, getting into these corners is a real pain, so having some block work here will make that a lot easier. Okay, so we still got some grass. We still got that. We should have some lighting in here for sure. Decorate them a little bit. You might have to use a bit of imagination, but you get the idea. Lighting, and let's pretend that there's some flowers in here. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. That's tidied up that entire area because that was a mess, a real mess. Now, we need to consider what we're going to do with the rest of it. Now, this at the moment is a slope in real life, so what I would definitely like to do is make this flat. And then probably have some kind of like barrier between them, maybe out of the block paving like that, just so that there's a difference. And that probably means you can do that as well, like make it go all the way round. Right, now this is the most interesting part of the garden, you see. Now, what I want to do, or to have, is some kind of fire pit in the middle. Okay, that's going to be the fire pit, but I don't want it made out of this material. I actually had another custom block made, some sort of like slate kind of color. There we go, and then topped off as well. So that will be the fire pit. And then we can actually just pop a campfire in there. Boom. We have our fire pit. Something like that would be amazing. And then we just need to make some seating around it. So literally seating all the way around. That looks enormous. That actually looks massive from here. But my goodness, does that look... That looks pretty cool to me. With some more grass in here. No, more plants here. There we go. So that sort of separates these two areas a little bit. You know what, these should probably be made out of this. Yeah, the seating could be made out of wood, although this has definitely got to have a back like that. So let's change this to the smoother one. There we go. I think that's it. So it's got a bit of the tiling underneath, bit of the grey rendering there, and that is the look that I am going for. Okay, so now I just need to put this everywhere else. Okay, there we go. That looks maybe a bit odd, but it works. It looks nice. And then here, what we could have is some bamboo. Oh, that looks nice. A bit of greenery wouldn't go amiss here. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Look at that. That actually looks pretty cool. But we can't have grass around the fire pit. So actually, we need to take this block here and put this on the floor as well. It looks very, very bright and white, which is not necessarily my goal. So this would be the steps here, but I kind of wanted to have this layered underneath, but I can't quite make this work in Minecraft, but you kind of get the idea. I actually wanted to use this for some herbs or some kind. A bit of green really would go far here. Now, I did have another custom block made because all of these modern kind of gardens have a screen. And I think to cover up the sheer amount of brickwork that's surrounding my garden, I need a bit more screenage. So I'm going to put a screen, or hopefully, a screen all the way along this stretch of wall. In fact, yeah, the whole length. So this will cover up most of the brickwork. There we go. Screen there. Maybe a screen here as well. You might bump your head on this, actually. I didn't think... This is a problem, because the garages have, like, this overhang thing, so hopefully no one will bump their head. How weird is this if I can just go to a gardener or a landscaper who probably haven't played Minecraft in their life, and I say, like, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I want, and we'll see how it goes. And maybe a screen here as well, just to cover up a small amount of the garden. Okay, so that is it. The garden design is complete, or at least it's at a place where I'm happy enough with it to present this to a real life landscaper. So, just to give you a bit more of an overview as I was sort of going through it bit by bit and explaining my thought process. What we've done is completely changed the garden to a more modern, and thank goodness it's made up of straight lines, because otherwise this would have been quite difficult in Minecraft. So, we've got ourselves a nice fire pit over here, what will be hopefully a herb garden or somewhere to grow some vegetables. We have screening that goes all the way around most of the garden to try and break up some of this brickwork. And then we've got a raised terrace here with some flowers that go all the way around, and then everything else is paved. So I think this looks pretty cool. It's very modern. It's still quite a small garden, but I feel like this is in a place that I can hand this over to a real life landscaper and see what they can do. So work started later in the year. Now, I didn't actually film an awful lot of it because it happened over the course of many weeks and the weather was pretty bad and my camera didn't record for very long. So I didn't get much footage, but I did take many progress pictures, as you can see. So slowly, the garden got built up and up and up until eventually it was at a really good place. So with that in mind, let's compare what actually was produced in real life to my original Minecraft design and see how close they really were. So here's the finished product. There's Pearl over there. She's a bit curious of what we're doing. And I think the landscaper has absolutely nailed the design. So I'm going to give you a very quick tour. Here is the seating area. I've bought a couple of plants, and I've indeed also planted up all of this, which should blossom and grow in and sort of fill out everything here. So we've got this big square shaped garden. We've got the grass, we said. We've also even got this square. There's a few things that didn't happen. For example, this is slightly different. The way that this is configured, the tops aren't topped off and there isn't a pillar in the middle. But overall, the fire pit is absolutely gorgeous. And you can fit so many people here. There's plenty of room. And then over here, where I said I was going to grow some stuff, here are all the herbs that I'm going to be eating at some point, including some lettuce and some carrots and some more lettuce, so it's very exciting. Hello! Sometimes if you talk to her, she talks back. Oh, she's so cute. This isn't really part of the garden video, but I found out a new thing. Pearl absolutely loves playing in the garden, but if you grab her paw and you just sort of pull, she just gives up and just gets pulled along the floor. She loves belly rubs. So down here, we weren't able to make this as flat as we would have liked. It is still ever so slightly sloping downwards. And this had to be wood instead of block pave, but overall the whole thing has been achieved, and I think almost down to every single last detail, it's spot on. And I thought I'd show you what it looks like when it gets a little bit darker and the fire pit's on, because this garden really comes to life when all the lights are on. As you can see, we've got lights along the back, and we've actually got lights underneath the seats as well. And then of course, you've got the fire. Using Minecraft, I managed to completely design a new bespoke garden that actually looks exactly the same when it was made in real life. But I want to know what you think. How did I do on a scale of 1 to 10? How close did it all come out and how good did it look? I'd love to know your opinions. So all there is left to say is a huge thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, as it was extremely difficult to make. This project started about a year ago, so it feels very strange to work on this sort of thing over such a long period of time. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall see you in the next one. Goodbye.